Michael Sprott is an inconsistent fighter. On his day, he's a decent yardstick. Let's not forget, Michael Sprott was relatively recently, back in 2012, put in a ring with a then unbeaten Edmund Gerber. Sprott was winning the first fight with Gerber, which ended in a controversial stoppage, and then got the victory in the rematch. Earlier on in his career, Michael Sprott upset the then 22-1 Timo Hoffman. He is capable of causing an upset on his day. He has got some attributes. The jab. I remember watching his fight against Robert Helenius, again, relatively recently, and he performed with some credit, taking 3 rounds off Helenius over the course of a 10-round fight. Now, Helenius was a prospect further on in his career than Anthony Joshua. That fight was actually the 19th time that Helenius entered the professional ring, compared to the 10th time that Anthony Joshua will be fighting when he steps in on Friday. Helenius was also viewed as a massive puncher at the time, but Sprott managed to stay the distance with him. My point is, if we want to make a case for Sprott, if we want to suggest this fight is competitive, there are some form lines to suggest that. He beat Edmund Gerber. He was competitive with Robert Helenius. Those are both names Eddie Hearn would probably be considered too much of a step up for Anthony Joshua at this stage of his career. Yet Sprott performed with credit on both. The difficulty is, and as I mentioned at the start of the video, is that Sprott is wildly inconsistent. I've picked the best of his form there, but the reality is that his record is 42 wins with 22 losses. Of his 42 wins, 17 of those have come by KO, so he's not the biggest knockout artist. He's probably going to have to win this fight on points. Of his 22 losses, 12 of them have come by KO. A very worrying statistic when you're stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua. Sprott's also 6'1", another example of Joshua being in against a smaller opponent. Will it be the same again as we saw against Baktov, with the smaller man just not being able to get himself established in the fight? Now, at the start of this video, I cherry-picked highlights from his form, but we can also be slightly more sceptical. Let's not forget, in only Sprott's last fight, he was stopped in round 1 by Kali Meehan. In 2013, similarly, he was stopped in round 1 by Erkan Tepa. Those examples come from the last 2 years alone. This is a guy who earlier on in his career lost at Southern Area level. My point is, Joshua, he's probably already at the stage where you could say he's a more advanced fighter than Kali Meehan. I'm not convinced by this Erkan Tepa. I know he's rated very highly on BoxRec, but I think Joshua beats him already. So if Sprott is getting knocked out in 1 round by those kind of guys, it's hard to see him lasting much better against Joshua. The guy doesn't have an elite level chin. Joshua looks like he's got the potential to be an elite level puncher. Joshua's got a size advantage. The long and the short of it is, it depends which Michael Sprott turns up. Against that on that night against Robert Helenius, Sprott never looked like getting stopped. He looked like he was fighting the fight somewhat at his own pace, and it was almost up to Sprott to put his foot on the gas. But I predict that won't be the same against AJ. I think Joshua's going to be all over him from the beginning, like he was with Denis Baktov. I think he's going to keep Sprott at range and negate Sprott's jab using his own rangy battering ram of a jab, and I think he'll look to finish the fight early with power punching. I think with Sprott's susceptible chin, it's likely that this one could end in the first round or two. I would be surprised if this got to round 3. That's my final thoughts on this, really. The prediction would be, whilst Sprott is inconsistent, while there are form lines that suggest he could be a decent test, he's lost to far worse guys than Anthony Joshua. He's been stopped by worse guys than Anthony Joshua. Joshua stylistically has the size, the power, the range, the aggression to get this done early. Now, I don't criticise Matchroom for making this fight because Sprotts are a reasonably well-known guy at domestic level. It's good to see Joshua in an all-British heavyweight class. It was also impossible to predict just how easily he would handle Baktov, and this fight was made before the Denis Baktov fight. So, I don't criticise them for making the fight, but in my opinion we're not going to learn a lot from this. Michael Sprott, another smaller heavyweight, 39 years old, not in the best shape, looks like he's slurring his words when he's on ringside. Got KO'd in the first round in his last fight. It's not a fight that's going to tell us a lot. But as I say, it's hard to be critical bearing in mind this was made before the Baktov fight. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly Anthony Joshua is able to get the job done. I'm predicting rounds 1 or 2. Interested to hear people's thoughts. Give me a round. Thanks for watching.